Hey buddy, it's Daddy, and I wanted to make a video for you of us reading a book for night time. And the first book that we're going to read is called Muncha, Muncha, Muncha. See? Muncha, Muncha, Muncha. And it's about the three little bunnies and how they get into lots of trouble in the farmer's farm, eating all the vegetables from his garden. So let's read it together. So the book is called Muncha, Muncha, Muncha. And we'll look at the pictures too. For years, Mr. McGreely dreamed of planting a garden. He dreamed of getting his hands dirty, of growing yummy vegetables, and of gobbling them all up. That's the farmer, Mr. McGreely, up here in the window. And he looks kind of sad because he's thinking about growing a farm. Growing some yummy vegetables. But he never tried once until this spring. Said Mr. McGreely, "This spring, by golly, I'm going to plant a garden." So he hoed and he sowed and he watched his garden grow. You can see the little bunnies are over there watching too. There he is planting his garden. Lettuce and carrots and peas, tomatoes. Yum, yum, yummy, said Mr. McGreely. I'll soon fill my tummy with crisp, fresh veggies. And see him? There's the farmer. He's planting all his veggies. He's got a shovel and a hoe and a watering can. This garden looks like Mommy's, doesn't it? But one night, when the sun went down and the moon came up, 3 hungry bunnies appeared. Tippy, 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 pat! Muncha, muncha, muncha! Look at the bunnies, they're eating all the garden vegetables. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his gnawed sprouts, he was angry. But he built a small wire fence all around his vegetable garden. There, he declared, no bunny can get into my garden now. See what he did? He put a fence around his garden just like we have at home, just like Mommy did. You can see the vegetables are starting to come up. So he thinks that the bunnies aren't going to be able to get in. But look, there they are. They're the bunnies. And as the sun went down and the moon came up and tippy, 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 pat. Spring hurdle, dash, dash, dash. Then muncha, muncha, muncha. Oh, the bunnies started eating the vegetables anyway. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his nibbled leaves and gnawed sprouts, he was really angry. So he built a tall wooden wall behind the small wire fence, all around his vegetable garden. He huffed. Those flop ears will never get over this. No bunny can get into my garden now. And there's that big fence that he made. And there's Farmer McGreely up at the top of the fence. And he has a hammer and some nails, and he's pounding those nails in. Bang, 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 bang. But look, who's hiding there by the sawhorse? The 3 bunnies. 1, 2, 3. What does he have? A saw, a shovel, and a can of nails. But as the sun went down and the moon came up, and tippy, 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 pat, dig, scrabble, scratch, scratch. Spring hurdle, dash, dash, dash. Muncha, muncha, muncha. Look at the bunnies eating all those vegetables. This bunny's using a big shovel. And they dug through a hole. They went underneath the fence, huh? And there's Mr. McGreely in bed. You can see him. Mr. McGreely's up here in bed. He's dreaming about carrots. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his chewed stems, his nibbled leaves, and his gnawed sprouts, he was really, really angry. So he made a deep, wet trench outside the tall wooden wall behind the small wire fence all around his vegetable garden. "Ha!" he snorted. "Those pufftails can't get under it. They'll never get over it. No bunny can get into my garden now." And look what he did. He dug a big trench and filled it with water behind that big wall. Look at the bunnies. They're hiding behind a rock. They know what he's doing. And the sun went down and the moon came up. And tippy, 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 pat! Dive, paddle, splash, splash, splash! Bunnies, they swam in the water. Dig, scrabble, scratch, scratch, scratch! Spring, hurdle, dash, dash, dash! Muncha, muncha, muncha! Oh, look at those bunnies. They're eating all the vegetables again. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his chomped blossoms, his chewed stems, his nibbled leaves, and his gnawed sprouts, he was furious. So he hammered and blocked, sawed and stalked, drilled and filled, and trapped and locked. And he built a huge, enormous thing before the deep, wet trench, outside the tall wooden wall, behind the small wire fence, all around his vegetable garden. I've outsmarted those twitch whiskers for sure," he exclaimed. "They can't get through it, they can't get under it, and they can't get over it. No bunny, no way, no how can get into my vegetable garden now. Wow, look at that big wall he made, Connor. It's huge." And as the sun went down and the moon came up, and tippy, 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 stop! The three hungry bunnies looked and smelled and touched the huge, enormous thing before them, and tippy, 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 pat! The bunnies hopped away. Looks like they can't get in. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his untouched vegetables, he was happy. "I beat the bunnies," he whooped, and did a jiggly-wiggly victory dance. Then he climbed over, jumped across, squeezed between, and crawled under until he reached his vegetable garden. "Ah!" sighed Mr. McGreely. "At last!" smacking his lips. He picked and pulled up lettuce, carrots, peas, tomatoes, and with his basket overflowing, he reached inside for something yummy. And there he is, picking all those yummy carrots. And it was Muncha, Muncha, Muncha! Oh, the bunnies were in the basket! So he decided to sit with the bunnies and share his carrots. And there's Mr. McGreely eating carrots with his bunnies, and they became friends. Alright, buddy. That's your first book. There's a few more coming, okay? I love you. Be good for Mommy. Bye-bye.